Zotac stuffs GeForce RTX 5060 Ti into mini PC. A new certification from 80 Plus has emerged with very high power efficiency. AMD quietly releases the RX 9060 XT and Pro R9700 drivers for Linux. And lastly, AMD is preparing for the 9060 XT pre-orders in China with the PCB leaked from Gigabyte. Okay, so firstly we have Zotac including the 5060 Ti, full-fledged 5060 Ti, by the way, no MXM version or the mobile version, full-fledged 5060 Ti into a mini PC right over here, which is kind of crazy. Like, this is a very small PC we are looking at, a mini PC of course, which is the Magnus EN7 5060TC. It's a compact 2.65 liter mini PC, which is of course based on the PCIe 16 interface used instead of the MXM, of course. That requires, of course, a PCIe riser cable, a custom dual blower cooling system, as you can see properly here, which is pretty beefy, not gonna lie. And of course, the GPU is the NVIDIA RTX 5060 Ti. Not sure which version, however. Is it gonna be an 8 gigs version or the 16 gigs or maybe both? That isn't really mentioned here, but I'm guessing it's gonna be the 16 gigs or maybe even the 8 gigs. But that's the problem. NVIDIA has made it so complicated that people won't be able to tell if it's gonna be 8 gigs or 16 gigs. So hopefully they're gonna mention it. The RAM they're utilizing is a 16 gigs DDR5 SODIMM with 2 slots, of course. Storage would be 2 times M.2 2280 ports. One of them supports SATA SSD. And as for networking, we're looking at 2x Ethernet 2.5 Gbps ports, 2 of them, which is crazy. Wi-Fi 7, of course, Bluetooth 5.4. And the CPU they're utilizing is the Intel Core Ultra 255H, which is soldered built in the PCB, so you can't really take it off. And you can expect a very premium price for this particular mini PC, of course, because it's containing very high-end processor and, of course, the 5060 Ti. So yeah, it's gonna be expensive, and you can expect it before Gamescom. So we'll see. Next up, we have the Clear Result launches 80 plus Ruby, the highest global efficiency standard for data center PSUs, of course. And this is the new version of their standard, which is the 80 plus Ruby, and the color, the reddish accent, the Ruby itself, it's kind of interesting, and it's going to be the highest tier now, dethroning the 80 plus Platinum. So that's going to be interesting to look at. So according to the Clear Results Chief Product of Technology Officer Divakar Zandala, I'm hoping I spelled that pretty well, but pretty sure I butchered it. But anyway, he replied with, achieving the highest standard of operations for data centers is critical as energy demand quickly grows, and we are proud that the 80 plus Ruby certification is setting the example of what optimal data center energy efficiency can look like worldwide. So this is going to be very interesting. The 80 plus Ruby certification is pretty much high standards, obviously. So 80 plus Ruby, this new certification is the first major PSU standard update in 14 years. So it is gonna be crazy to think about that after 14 years we're looking at a very high efficient rating here, which is 96.5%, which is crazy, at 50% load, of course. So we're considering 96.5% efficiency at 230 volts to 77 volts for 80 volts AC to DC and 380 volts DC, and 90% efficiency at only 5% load. So this is the rating we're looking at here. So yeah, for most cases, this is the rating we're looking at, which is the 96.5% efficiency. That is the highest that we can go right now, which is pretty efficient, not gonna lie. It's close to 100%, literally. Not a huge loss there. So yeah, it's pretty good. So now we'll be seeing more 80 plus Ruby based power supplies, and yeah, I mean, it's gonna be pretty efficient for many PSUs, but the expensive nature of PSU is gonna go higher, so it's gonna be, yeah, very expensive as the rating goes higher. And next we have an update from AMD for the Radeon software for Linux, which is gonna be 25.10.1 release. And as you can see here, right over here, introducing support for following ASIC SKUs, which is gonna be AMD Radeon AI Pro R9700, and of course the 9070 GRE, which has already been launched, of course, and AMD Radeon RX 9060 XT, which is also gonna be releasing soon in June 5th, I think. So yeah, they already have driver support for Linux. So nothing surprising there. They're going to be working on the driver even further because Linux is used for, you know, developers anyway. So that's going to be interesting. Linux is getting the drivers before Windows is okay. No problem with that. But hopefully the Windows drivers will be launched. So yeah, AMD is preparing for their drivers and of course their i90 XT launch, including the R9700 AI Pro GPU. So that's gonna be quite interesting because already we have multiple GPUs being pre-ordered in China. Right now we are looking at this particular one, which is the Sapphire AMD Radeon RX 9060 XT. Pricing hasn't been launched or hasn't been listed here basically, but we do have information from video cards and they've included the pricing information, as you can see, which from the first look it doesn't really look really well, because as you can see 9060 XT Nitro Plus 16 gigs coming at 3,299 RMB, which includes sales tax. So in dollar pricing we're looking at 459, which is of course very premium, versus $350. So yeah, it's very premium, so there's no need to buy this particular GPU at that price premium. We also have the 9060 XT Pure 16 gigs coming at 3,099 RMB, which is 431 USD. I'm gonna discard the RMB anyway, but yeah, let's look into other pricing, which is the 9060 XT Pulse 16 gigs coming at $403. 9060 XT Pure 8 gigs version, of course, coming at $375, which is $75 premium. Again, not a good deal. We also have the 9060 XT Metal Alloy 8 GB, again 361 premium pricing, and 9060 XT Pulse 8 gigs coming at 347. So these are premium pricing for this 9060 XT GPU, and obviously you don't want to pay that much for sure. But again, we need to consider there are tariff pricing, because USA has, put a lot of tariff in multiple countries, so we can expect price to go higher. Hopefully that won't be too much, but again, tariff is tariff, so we can't really do anything about that. So yeah, the pre-order is already going on in China, so interesting. And of course we also have some information from Gigabyte, and they basically shared some slides here, and there are some images about some PCBs with the SoCs included. As you can see, this is probably the 5060 Ti, I think. Yeah, right over here. This is the 5060, not Ti, I guess, 5060 version of it. So yeah, they're including that. They also showcased, of course, the 9060 XT PCB, and the PCB is very compact. This is the only image we have right over here, and this particular PCB is very compact, as you can see, and clearly we can tell this is an Radeon card because of the the design of it, the layout of it, we can already tell. And they also mentioned that the Radeon RX 9060 XT appeared here, so as you can see, it's going to be pretty efficient. That's not no-brainer. And we can see one particular connector. I'm not sure if it's going to be 8-pin connector or 12V2X6 connector. Not sure about that. Probably it's going to be 8-pin connector, because it's not going to be a very heavy, high demanding card anyway, so it should be 8-pin and it should be enough, right? And yeah, the PCB itself looks compact, but we can expect many more types of different custom designs of PCBs to come. So Gigabyte is choosing for this particular PCB layout, which is, yeah, looks very simple. And of course they also shared the SMT process and other stuff that you can check out. The link will be in the description if you want to look into more of these articles. But yeah, we can expect AMD to launch RX 9060 XT very soon, which is gonna be June 5th. I guess it's gonna be the announcement, or the reviews will be in June 5th, I think, or maybe even the launch. We'll see about that. As they're preparing the drivers, we have the showcases. Yeah, we can expect RX 9060 XT to be launching very soon, and I'm hopeful that it will be a very valuable GPU if they can deliver at MSRP, which is going to be $350 and $300 for 16 gigs and 8 gigs respectively. Although it is very much highly recommended to go for 16 gigs, because there's no need to go for 8 gigs in 2025, knowing you'll struggle in games. So yeah, that is it for today. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.